Hello everyone! Though I know we are already well into August, there is still so much to look forward to in terms of new book releases in the coming months, especially when we get to fall, which always feels like the prime time for new books. I know hype can be a very dangerous thing, but I still thought I'd talk about the rest of the year, the books that I plan to read and review myself, and I'm really looking forward to. I'm sure a few of these that you can predict, some mainstream books that are going to be popular, but I also have a few here that are a little weird that maybe you didn't see coming. So let's take a moment to talk about the books that we are excited to read in this second half of 2023, because nothing brings me more anxiety than knowing the end of the year is just around the corner. Which is a great segue into today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Thanks BetterHelp for working with me today. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and it is 100% online. You can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and professional therapists that can help you with a wide range of issues. And I know personally getting started was the hardest part of therapy, and that's why it's awesome that BetterHelp makes it so easy to begin. You just answer a few questions about your needs and your preferences for therapy. That way BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist for you from their network. And then you can talk to your therapist however which way you feel the most comfortable, whether that's via text, chat, video, or even phone call, and schedule live sessions whenever it's convenient for you. And bonus, for whatever reason your therapist doesn't end up being the correct match for you, you can switch to a new one at no additional charge. So with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism, quality that you would expect from a regular in-office therapy, and you don't even have to leave your home, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, has more scheduling flexibility, and is much more affordable. So if you're interested in starting therapy with BetterHelp, then you can head over to betterhelp.com/hollyheartsbooks, where you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. Thanks BetterHelp for working with me today. All right, now on to these books. Now I recently put up my August TBR, so I'm not going to talk about the books that I mentioned there. I think that would be a little redundant. So if you want to see what I'm reading this month, go ahead and go watch that. I'll link it below for you. But let's talk about the first book that I am so excited to read in the second half of 2023. And that is The Darkness Before Them. There is nothing that captures my attention more than a beautiful fantasy cover, and damn it, this is one of them. This is the first book to a brand new fantasy that releases in November, I believe, from Matthew Ward, the author mostly known for the Legacy trilogy. And this completed trilogy consists of Legacy of Ash, Legacy of Steel, and A Legacy of Light. I will for sure be reading this one. It's one of my most anticipated releases because it just sounds so freaking cool and something that I'm going to love. It's set in a world that is ruled by an immortal king, and it sounds like the magic system involves magic being fueled by souls. So the immortal king part kind of is making more sense. Our main character is a thief and she can speak to spirits and command them, and that unique gift is probably going to help the kingdom in some way. All of my boxes are ticked. I love stories with a thief main character, an evil king, cool magic. I love it all. Starling House. I so desperately want this book to be good because I do really love Alexi Haro. The 10,000 Doors of January is one of my favorite books, though unfortunately a previous book of hers, Once and Future Witches, just wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it as much. So I'm hoping that this redeems the Haro name. This is a gothic fantasy, so already it has redeeming qualities, just that in of itself. We have Opal, who is a thief trying to collect money to pay her brother's education when an opportunity arises. She's offered a job cleaning the mysterious Starling House to a caretaker that is described as ugly and not so friendly. I've seen early reviews classify this as cozy horror, which is very interesting, as that sounds like I guess like an oxymoron, but I can see how a story can feel that way, especially with Alexi Haro's writing. She totally has the ability to create that feeling, so I got my fingers carefully crossed with this one, and that Haro can reel me back in with her beautiful and unique storytelling. I was gonna try and save this book for October, but now that I have the physical copy, which I'm very grateful for, I might have to read it this month. We'll see in my August reading wrap up. Hi everyone, I'm breaking the fourth wall here for a second. I did in fact start Starling House, by the way. I'm a little less than halfway through, and you guys are not ready for this book. This just might be in my top 3 reads of the year. It's amazing. I can't stop reading it. Spoiler alert, it's good. Next up, I am putting this one on the list as an obligation, as I am one of the 6 billion people on this planet who loved legends and lattes, and there's a sequel, Bookshops and Bone Dust. Is this a sequel? I don't think it's a direct one, but it's just like set in the same universe as Legends and Lattes. Actually, it sounds more like a prequel, so if you wanted to, you could dive into this one first. No rules apply here. I'm not gatekeeping nothing. This one also releases in November, and it's already rapidly getting a lot of attention as many are excited for it. I am myself. It looks like it's giving all those same like cozy feelings, but here we follow Viv after an injury forces her to recuperate in the small town of Merk. When I hear the word Merk, I think of Fallout. Ignore me. There, she meets some of the townspeople and begins to make the most of her time spent in recovery, but her past adventures begin to creep up on her yet again. I really love how Legends and Lattes incorporated a coffee shop, while this one is going more for the bookstore route, so heck, I might even enjoy this one more. Baldry is just really onto something with his cozy fantasy novels. I think it would be freaking hilarious to see him swing into left field with like a brutal grimdark fantasy. How funny would that be? I'd be first in line to read that. I highly doubt he would write something like that because it seems like these cute little stories are fulfilling his career perfectly fine. Please let me know if you'll be reading this one. I'm sure most of you will. Let's talk about a sequel I'm super pumped for. Traitor of Redwinter. This is the sequel to Daughter of Redwinter, a book that released last year that I absolutely adored. It. I actually followed along with the audiobook and wow, it surprised me. I just don't see how in this universe that this book would be a dud. This author seems to just write banger after banger, and this is one book that I just see myself getting lost in like I did the first one and enjoying the heck out of it. I miss this world. I miss the magical school setting, the badass protagonist, the story that ended on a freaking cliffhanger. I need answers. This one is currently sitting on my Kindle. Estor gave me early access to it, but it's hard because I'm a physical book reader, and that's how I want to enjoy the story again. Physical copy in my hands while following along with the audiobook, so I might just have to wait until it releases, or I'll just cave. We'll see. Okay, so I have a whole spooky October TBR already pretty much ready to go. So I'm not going to spoil it all here, but I will talk about at least one book. And that is The Night House. Because though I love fantasy, I also love spooky haunted houses. This is one of my favorite covers ever from a horror book. I love it so much, and it's the main reason I wanted to read it. It gives me like Bates Hotel vibes. Is anyone getting that? I think this is a great opportunity to expand my horror recommendations list. So just be aware, this isn't the only haunted house like book that I want to read, but you'll have to wait for the October TBR to go up in a couple months to see what else that I have on my list. So this one follows Richard, a 14-year-old boy, and his friend gets sucked into a telephone receiver. So he traces the call back and it takes him to a creepy manor house. And when he gets there, he sees a face in the window, which compels him to go inside. Very old school sounding, very like classic horror shenanigans. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect, but I will be reading it. Up next, I have another sequel that I desperately need to read. Oh my goodness. That is Warrior of the Wind. I've mentioned the sequel a few times. It's the continuation to Son of the Storm. A hit or miss for most people, absolutely a hit for me. I loved it. It's a fantasy inspired by pre-colonial empires of West Africa. I loved how complex and deep it was. I loved the characters, the desert environment, the cover. And clearly the cover love extended to the sequel because god damn, just look at it. I'm just looking for compelling use of the infamous magic that we were introduced to in book one. I'm looking forward to seeing how it ties more into the story. If we're going to dive deeper into the race of certain characters that are forbidden in this world, I know I'm being vague, but I'm just trying not to give out any spoilers. Also, just look at this artwork. Like, so freaking beautiful. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good sequel. I hope so. I'm sure it's going to be. Alrighty, so those are some of the books that I'm really looking forward to in the second half of 2023. There's definitely a whole lot that I missed. I am only talking about a small percentage of books that I plan on reading. It's really hard to gather this up, especially as release dates change, my mood changes, books that aren't even announced yet, but that's a good stack of books that I'm really excited to read. Granted, I read a lot of stuff. I pretty much just jump into anything anymore when it comes to fantasy, but this is the stuff that's like at the forefront of my mind right now. So if you got your own list, I definitely love to hear it in the comments. It helps me know what you're interested in for reviewing and talking about stuff, but also I just want to hear it. Maybe you've got something cool that I've not heard of yet. Before you go, don't forget to check out that BetterHelp offer. It will be linked down below for you. If you like what I do here, I'd really appreciate clicking the like button. It really helps me out, and ultimately subscribing if you are not. I'd love to have you here, and until we meet again, happy reading.